that extra gear, the first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.
All right, welcome to another episode of Behind the Gear, and we are in COVID-19 shutdown quarantine here. But I brought my stuff home. Now we're at a little home corner of my house. I locked myself in the basement, and probably hear my kids running around upstairs with my wife.
Yeah.
I got Kevin.
How'd you get a break?
Yeah, exactly. I told them I had to go to work. But I got Kevin Galerno with me, who's obviously a right-hand man for me as far as podcasting and jumping on the ice and working with kids and all that kind of stuff. So, Kevin, how are you doing in these difficult, or I shouldn't say difficult, just weird, strange times?
Yeah, different for sure. Good. Yeah, we're good at home here. We don't have. I feel for guys like you who have kids, because even I'm like, holy, like my wife and I this morning, it's the middle of the day on Sunday, and we were like, why don't we just do nothing? And that's so easy. But for you guys with kids, man,
Yeah.
It is like at your age, like super active kids.
Whoa, my age. What are you talking
easy.
about? My age.
No, like your kids age. age.
Oh yeah. Good one.
Yeah, like they're good save.
Yeah.
Good save.
Yeah.
How'd you get a little time away?
Basically I just everything's been good actually. The kids have been great so far. We've been keeping busy, which has been good. So our dog is golden doodle, so it gets pretty fluffy, it's like almost like Velcro, and hasn't had a haircut in a while. So we had a haircut booked like a while out for this weekend, which obviously they closed all the grooming, like all the dog hair cutting places. I said grooming, that sounds a little hoity-toity, so we'll just say dog clipper places.
Yeah.
And so what was I doing this morning, you think, Kevy? Outside in the backyard, what was I doing?
I'm not even a guess, but it sounds amazing. How did it go?
My dog.
Did you like nip her tail or nip the stomach at all?
Dude,
or
I
nothing?
couldn't. So I started basically clipping like with a pair of clippers that we have, and her hair is way too thick, so I couldn't do it. So I had to I just want to get her paws shortened, because when they're too hairy, she can't walk upstairs much, and she's getting old. So I just literally clipped her, basically scissored her feet and just cleared all the hair away from her paws, which looks. Yeah. She looks ridiculous. It looks like a rabbit. She's a dog with rabbit feet.
I'm going to guess. Okay, I'm totally guessing, but it was probably 8 years ago where you were like, I'm never, no matter what, ever cutting my dog again. I'll pay whatever it costs to get somebody else to drop her off and her to come back. And now look at you.
I know.
8 years later, you're
Yeah, because I had tried this before years ago to cut a dog, and it's that is the longest process, ridiculous to do. And then obviously I do not want to do that anymore, and today I kind of had to. And then I spent the last probably 15-20 minutes of the haircut just clipping around her tail and anus area, which was amazing. It was really awesome.
Awesome day.
Yeah, I thought I was done. I was actually kind of come back in the house, and Jenna's like, hey, did you get around her tail and bum?
No, I'm going back out.
Yeah, so I went back out for a second. My hands were freezing. It was just cold enough to freeze your hands. It was you know what, great morning. But other than that, everything's been peachy. It's been great. It's been really good.
Good, bud.
But you know what, with kids, and I think a lot of people are going through the same thing, especially you got active, hockey players, young players and stuff like that. You got to find ways to keep them busy. And for us, it's more just not planning a day out really, but just saying, yesterday we did one of Mitch's workouts. So Jenna and I did it, and the kids did it with us, and it was fine. They did half of it and had a good time doing it. It was cool. And then, today I think we're going to load the bikes up and go down to Springbank Park and go for a bike ride on the pass or something, but just try to find something that'll kill. You're basically, literally, I think for all the parents out there, at times you're just trying to spin tires and try to spend hours of the day, which is great, and you're spending some good time with your kids, but at the same time, you just feel like you're, not that you're not productive. I think you're almost sometimes more productive in these times because you're getting little things that you haven't had a chance to do, like clean out junk drawers and, purge a closet.
I couldn't you couldn't pay me to turn this camera around right now and show you my wife is just, I'd rather do hard labor than going through cupboards and the basement and the stuff that she has me doing. I'd rather go do a roof or concrete than do what we're doing, but we're the same way. Now let me ask you with I know it's March break and it's not only, it's felt like a long time, but it's been a full week since this with your kids. But have you gotten into like, doing schoolwork or anything with them at all?
It's funny you say that. So yesterday I went to the office and grabbed like 2 school desks that we had in one of the old classrooms, and I kind of wiped them down, brought them in, and we set up little like workstations for the kids, and more fun, and just like, you can set them up however you guys want them. So they put like name tags on them as their own area, and they have like their own desks now, and they have like little area underneath the desk to put pencils and stuff. So they're pumped about it. So yesterday and today they've spent a couple hours down here just doing drawings and things like that for right now.
Great.
But we got a couple, and this is kind of more advice, because if anyone else has any more advice for me, let me know, because I'm trying to keep them busy, but also don't want them to become, dumb hockey players either. Want to keep them a little bit relevant and continuing to learn how to read and write and things like that.
Not that we think that's how hockey players are. We don't think that. No. We just stare at
No, we think hockey players are brilliant. Very, very, very smart. We've been kind of doing a little bit more of that, and now that they have this little workstation, so for any parents out there, I don't know if you got areas that you could set up their own like little office, call it their own little office or their own little place that they get to go and they can do whatever. So it's been good so far. We'll see how it goes next week, but that's kind of our plan, is to spend, not structured, but a couple hours a day, hopefully doing, it could be drawings, it could be whatever, but just that's great. Some playtime, and then we have some workbooks and stuff and a lot of the schools now. So this is why I don't think school will be back in, is a lot of the schools have sent home, like, your son and daughter's reading level's fine, they're going to get moved to the next grade. This is what they're telling parents now. My niece went to school and grabbed all their stuff out of their locker. They had like a set up time where they can come in and pick up all their stuff. And then, how's it going there, Harley?
Yeah.
And then,
sorry about that.
That's all right. And then,
close the blinds.
Yeah, so I don't think school will end up going back in, because a lot of stuff's already coming out. Like, here's the rest of the work for the year, and there's a lot of like kind of precursors saying that this is probably not gonna get the kids back to school. So yeah. I think it is important for parents to do a little bit with them as they're not.
Oh, for sure. I mean, one thing is just killing time, and 2 is obviously keeping them engaged physically. Like, you did a little workout, keeping them engaged mentally. Like, it's important for anybody. But I mean, let's be honest, they don't fail kids anyway. No. So, like, even if, but, I'm not even going to get into that, but, yeah, no, that's good though. Yeah. And I agree with you though, setting up something to keep them like excited about, doing their own, like they're having their own space and keeping it tidy even, and just, keeping them excited about doing that.
Yeah, no, totally. It's been good. Let's get into that for a sec though. As far as not failing, I totally agree. Like, I think, but this also,
all right.
No, and this is more for parents out there. I think not failing your child is something that does happen right now, and that's something that could happen to anybody. You just get pushed through. But as a parent, when do you step in and say, okay, wait a second, like, I've got to do extra work, or I've got to find a tutor or whatever to help my son, daughter learn how to read better, or learn how to write better, or figure out what's going on, why they're not being able to do that, or spend some time with them after school, or even now working on how to read and how to write, or whatever their kind of difficulties are, math, whatever that is. But I think it's a little bit of the role of the parent too, to be able to, step in and, I know that at grade 2, your kid should start being able to read a little bit, and like, not great, but be able to read a little bit. Well, if my kid's in grade 2 and he's way behind and cannot read one word, then there's something either wrong or we're not spending enough time working on it.
Yeah. I agree. And I mean, let's be like, if things were, let's call it normal. So things were just, going day to day right now as normal life. Like, you'd still be doing stuff with it doesn't matter if your kid was behind or ahead. You'd still be, on Saturday having them read something to you, or if they're in grade 2 at night, maybe they're reading books to you now, or, you know what I mean? So you'd be helping them with their homework, whatever it is. You'd be doing extra stuff with them, or you should, I would think, you'd be doing extra stuff with them. So even more of a reason now, okay, they don't have that day to day at school. So you might have to do a little bit of more stuff, spend a little bit more time, but I would think you should be still doing something.
I totally, for sure. And I mean, let's be honest, there's times where it's way easier just to spend 3-4 hours watching a movie, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're right. Yeah. I think there's a lot of time right now that we can spend, helping our kids and even learning new things. Like, I was talking to a buddy of mine, actually, Jonathan, who does all our videos and stuff like that. I was talking to him, and they do this. Have you ever heard of geocaching? So there's basically, like, you can get this app on your phone. So anybody out there who's looking for something to do, you get this app on your phone. It's called geocaching, I believe it's called, and you can just Google it and check it out. But people put like little found treasures in hidden places all over the world. So there's some in London where you can pull up this app and like look for geocaches, and they give you hints and ways to get there. And then you find this little thing under a rock or in a tree or up in a branch. You look at it and you initial it, put it back, and then someone else can find that same thing. And you can set up your own. So you could basically set up your own geocache somewhere, put the coordinates in this app, and then someone else could try to find it. But even things like that, right? Like going out in the park, there's a bunch in London. A lot of areas have like these people have done them. But like there's no reason why you're sitting at home doing nothing saying this is bull. There's a lot of opportunity to do a bunch of different stuff. So I think it's time to take advantage of that a little bit now as we're kind of moving through this,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now,
no, those are all
as far as being old and having glasses, no, as far as hockey though, if we talk about the NHL and what's going on there, what are your thoughts on the NHL? What do you think is going to happen kind of moving forward with the NHL?
I think it'll be I'll be very surprised if we see anything before next season.
Yeah, I agree. I
agree. Especially from, what I hear in terms of what I read. I don't know how accurate it is, but apparently they're saying that everybody in terms of owners and management, all the teams don't want to do anything to next year's season. And I was kind of surprised about that. I really was. I was really surprised that from what I heard, that it said it was whether it was a general consensus or unanimous that everybody didn't want to mess with 82 games full season next year. And I would have guessed before I heard that they would have been okay going down to whatever 60, 70 games to try to salvage some sort of a playoff this year. I just figured there'd be too many teams that figured, with how wide open it is in terms of if you get in the playoffs, you can win. Nowadays, like eighth place team can win. So, and there's 12, probably about 12 teams in each conference who could get any of those spots. There's anyone from probably 6 to 12 that could get those last two spots. So with how open it is, I really thought the teams, and especially looking at those teams that traded for like someone like a Taylor Hall rental player, and these things like that, I thought that teams would really want to make sure they got some sort of a playoff and a Stanley Cup, but based on, and not even getting into the coronavirus part in terms of like how long we think this is going to go, I just figured they'd say like, yeah, we want a playoff this year, but it doesn't sound like they want that. So I'll be very surprised if there's any more hockey this year, any more sport.
I totally agree with you. I think the other thing too, though, with that is, do you just mess up one season and wreck one season, or do you wreck two seasons? Because if they do playoffs in the summer and then run into the fall and then start the next season in October, November, like push it back a little bit, are you just shoving hockey down everyone's throat and trying to monopolize and get as much, get all your games in, get some of your playoff gate in, get that, and then, or do you just take it as a wash? Everyone's in the same boat right now as far as if you're a small restaurant on the corner of the Columbus Blue Jackets rink, or you're the Columbus Blue Jackets, you're losing money, you're bleeding money basically, you got no job, your employees are laid off, like everyone's going through a lot of the same things. So you just wash it and say, you know what, let's finish this, we're done, and let's just start fresh next year and try to have a real good 82, a full season, playoffs, the whole thing, hopefully, if everything is done on time, and I think a lot of the scenarios that we've heard, it's going to basically just kind of like take hockey to 12 months a year, just because we've gapped out here on 3-4 months. And that could be a lot, even on fans and trying to get all that in, and on players too. We don't think of that.
Well,
right?
Yeah. And 100%, like, I know you saw this too, but that not tentative, just like prospective schedule, whatever you want to call it, where they talked about playing into like July and August and starting the season, in October, like, if they do that, I would think the first people that are going to step in is the NHLPA.
Yeah.
And say, is this, you know what I mean? Like, whoa. Our players, especially the guys that go deep into the playoffs and into the finals, like, are you putting their and you're trying to salvage a full season next year? Are you putting their bodies at risk now? And, then you get into, okay, these guys are more tight. You already get a short off season the later you go into playoffs, and they say that obviously compromises your summer conditioning and training and all that stuff for those guys, plus if you win, you're partying a little longer, blah, blah, blah. But now you're putting into jeopardy the year they have next year. So now maybe they're not as prepared. They come out with a slow start. They get less points. Now it's contract year. They got less points, less money. Like, I would think there could be a whole slew of things that come into play if they try to cram stuff in, just to cram it in. So I agree with you. there's bigger things at play rather than just like, hey, we don't want to have a blip on Wikipedia that doesn't have an NHL winner.
Right. No, for sure.
For this year. Like, so I it sucks. I don't even want to say it. Never mind. Consider that there may not be another hockey game to watch for till October. You don't really realize like how, not dependent, that's the wrong word, but how much you look forward to like watching a game.
Especially playoffs.
Even for us, like, yeah.
Yeah. And remember, like, playoffs, every night there was a couple games on at the first round. Every night there's games. Like, it's unreal.
The best 2 weeks of the year. Yeah. There's 4 games, 3, 4, 5 games a night. It's the best 2 weeks of the year, and then it just gets better. But even for us, like, talking about things, or like, you know, I know we're not on the ice or in the office every day like we were, but just chatting about like, hey, send in a little clip, like in a group message, like, did you guys see this last night, or you know, or check this out, whatever. Like, it almost, this might be drastic, and I don't mean it to sound like this, but when you think about all these things, and we're just talking hockey, there's 100 other avenues we could go, but it's unbelievable how different our mindsets are going to be getting over the next like few weeks.
I agree, because I think we're, you know, for us, anybody who's listening right now, you're going through the same thing where you're a couple weeks in right now. Of really, the last week is when I think there was more shutdowns, more restaurants closing, bars closing, you know, a state of emergency. And I don't think it's going to get any better. And if it gets to the point where, like in Italy, where they really want to hammer this and get it done with, then I know Italy, like, you need to basically get a pass to be able to go to the grocery store and get back. You need to be able, like, you can't just wheel around. You can't just go outside and go for a bike ride. Like, you gotta get the okay to leave your place and go down your street, right? And they're really keeping everybody at home and trying to nip it. But again, Italy took a little bit of time to like deal with it and stuff. So I agree. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And, you know, we got to kind of brace for that. And that's why I think it's important for people, anybody that's putting content out there and stuff. I think it's important to continue to do what you do if you can. You know, even for me, doing this podcast is more about just me getting a chance to talk to hockey or talk to buddies or talk to people that are in the industry and just kind of get their views and point of views and get my mind off what's going on other things, right? Because I think all of us have a lot of stuff going on, whether it's paying your mortgage or losing your job, or, you know, what we went through the last week, you know, as a business was heart wrenching, you know, as the owner, but also, you know, I think for you guys as employees, it sucks. You know, it's one of those things where everyone's going through it right now. And you know, this kind of stuff to me gets me, even if I'm going for a walk with a dog and I throw a podcast on of somebody else, it just kind of gets me into like some kind of la la land where they're talking about whatever, hockey, dating, whatever, doesn't matter what it is, you know?
Yeah, totally. Have you been in contact, going back to hockey for a sec, but have you been in contact with any of the players, whether they're guys that train with us or and I know we saw, you know, Nick and Ryan Suzuki this week, but or guys from Hershey reached out or Washington at all?
Yeah, so basically, like, I've talked to a couple of guys and coaches and stuff, and basically what's going on is everyone's kind of in a holding pattern. I think everybody knows deep down what's probably going to end up happening, but everyone's gone home now. You know, even for the players, like, a lot of the players are saying, like, I'm at home now and I can't really train the way that you normally train, right? You can get out and work out and maybe work out at the gym if you have a gym at home, but it's not the same. And if they do come back, let's say in the next couple of weeks, which is very highly unlikely, but if they do, now they're going to have another little training camp that they're going to have to get to get everyone kind of back in shape quickly and try to get them going again. So,
that goes to the same thing we were talking about. Like, what if you take a month off? You can't just throw these guys into playoffs. Like, that is like so mentally, but physically, that you can't just give them 2 exhibition games and then say, hey, go, you know, go play, go crazy. So just to cut you off, but that brings totally up another point to kind of what we were talking about before. But I've seen a few videos of guys like doing home workouts, and you know, it's funny. Like, everyone sees on Instagram, like a guy like Crosby who's got crazy money, has a crazy, you know, everyone's heard about the stories about him and McKinnon training together. You know, they live next to each other. They both got crazy home gyms, but like, think about those guys that haven't made $100 million. You know, they don't have a like you said, like a gym, like a crazy gym that they can get pretty much everything they need at home, and they can video call in their trainer, or, you know, somebody like that. Like, that's tough, man. Yeah. These younger guys, these AHL guys, they got a garage and, you know, some weights and stuff. So you're right, they're doing what they can, but everyone sees those high end guys, you know, online. No one sees the guy running on a 10-year-old treadmill.
Yeah.
their parents' basement because they haven't, signed that big deal yet. Like,
Yeah.
that's tough.
Oh man, I think this is right up your alley. I saw this post. I might have been Instagram or Twitter or something, but of this kid on a normal running treadmill on his rollerblades, stick handling.
I saw this, yeah.
And right away,
I did.
I thought of you, and I was like, okay, this is cool, and it's great clickbait and like, really cool. But
Yeah.
and again, going on the skill side of things, again, we're just being donkeys here, but like, wow, really promoting shortening your stride and just taking little baby steps as you skate down the ice. I thought it was pretty innovative. I thought it was really cool that I'm sure he's not the only one who's done it. Just his parents happen to post it, but I was like, okay, this is like people are like really thinking outside the box on stuff and trying to, it was pretty cool.
I agree. And this is where we talked about this on one of the Instagram lives that we did this week, but normally you probably thought of me because I get so mad at watching. I know we all do, like watching, like, what we call Instagram skills.
No, you get really
or
bad,
social media skills. Yeah. And I'm like, but this is not a time to like, and I was the first one to say, like, this is not I'm like, hey, that's cool. I agree. I don't think that's the best, you can probably work on your hands a better way in, let's again call it normal times, but like right now, that's awesome. Like do anything that's like keeping the kids busy. Also, he's on his rollerblades, just stick handling a ball. Like, I think anything that's different and neat is, all these challenges that normally I'm like, okay, that's too much, I think are awesome right now. So I do think I did see that one. I've seen it a few times and I think it's cool. I'm only like, you try to think, like, have you spent any time being like, what's the next thing going to be?
Yeah.
What's the next thing? And I'm like, I'm not creative enough to think of it, but I'm sure, by Wednesday, there's going to be another cool video that we're like, oh, I never even thought of trying that.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
It's pretty neat.
So as a parent, I look at that video and I'm like, okay, this, to your point, like, this is wicked. Like, this is something that somebody thinking outside the box. You're right. It's not a time to go troll these people saying like, oh, this is ridiculous. This is why it sucks.
Yeah.
Someone will do that.
Cut it up.
So I look at it as a parent. I'm like, okay, took probably 2 to 3 minutes to tie up those rollerblades, a couple minutes to get this right, like probably 5 to 10 minutes to try a couple runs at this to make it right. Get him on video, probably 2 or 3 takes. There's another 5-6 minutes. Maybe he does it for 10-15. So now you're looking at like that. You just killed like 20 to 40 minutes of your day by doing that video. So you know what? Kudos to those parents, man. That there you go. You're getting it. How do you crush hours? How do you crush hours during the day?
Break it up like that.
That's the key. That's
right?
the key. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I don't have kids, so I just take naps. But for you guys with kids, you have to break it up with activity.
100%.
I'm like, how many coffees did you have yet since you've been like, even this weekend? This is like my 5th coffee already this morning.
I know.
I don't need to have it. I'm just sitting here. Why not?
I totally agree. Anytime the kettle goes on the stove, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll have one. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Okay, a couple questions I want to ask you though, just to see, like, let's say the NHL stops right now. So today, let's say next week they call it, and they're not going to have an NHL. All right, let's see how up to date you are on your leaders and what's going on in the NHL.
Yeah.
So who is the point leader right now in the NHL? As of the last date that we had.
I'm pretty sure it's Draisaitl, and I'm not looking, so I got no phone
good
here.
Call.
No.
Okay, good call. Do you know what he points yet?
Draisaitl, I say. Oh, he just got over 100, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just got over 100. I think I'd say 100 to 105. Let's say 103 points.
Okay, 110, pretty solid though, eh?
Really?
Yeah.
Holy.
110 in 43 games. No, sorry, more than that. That's my bad. 43 goals he's got though. Pretty solid though. Yeah.
And he's probably like 5th in goals, 5th or 6th, I bet.
Yeah. So as far, okay, wait, I want you to try this. So top 10 in scoring. Try to give me three top, or give me 4 top 10 guys without Draisaitl.
Without Draisaitl, McKinnon got hurt, so I think McDavid's 3rd. Is McDavid 3rd?
Second.
He's 2nd. Okay, he is 2nd. Pasternak's there because he's got like 47, 48 goals. I just don't think he might be like 5th. I'm trying to think of who 3rd is.
So Pasta is number 3.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Just keep going down the list.
3, 4. Kucherov's been on fire, but he came off slow. So just wait. So we got him. McKinnon got hurt. Is McKinnon?
McKinnon's at the 5 hole right now. Still.
5, yeah. Okay.
93
So
points.
there, I got 5, and then 6. I don't know. I can't think of 6 right now. Who am I missing?
So 6 is Brad Marchand.
Oh yeah, I should have known.
87 points. McKinnon's at 69 games, same as Panarin, and they both 95 and 93. So Panarin's got 95 points, McKinnon's got 93. Okay, that's pretty good. So we got 6 down here. Let's go 3 more or 4 more.
3 more. Is Matthews in the top 10?
Yeah, Matthews is sitting at number 9 with 80 points in 70 games. Yeah. So 2 more here because we got Kucherov. Kucherov's in the 7 hole. And 2 more.
Is there a D-man in there?
Nope.
Oh, Carlson.
Nope.
No, he's not there. Where is he?
He's number 13. Pretty solid though. 75 points in 69 games. Your boy's up there, number 8 in the 8 hole. Your boy.
My boy?
Yeah.
Now I feel awful that I don't.
He wears 8s. He wears 8s.
Pardon?
He wears 8s.
Kane's up there?
Yeah, number 8.
No
84
way.
points in 70 games, and then Jack Eichel's 10th.
That's a quiet.
Yeah.
Both Eichel and Kane, like on bad teams.
Even Marchand, I wouldn't say. Like I was like, whoa, Marchand. Okay, top 3 goal scorers in the NHL right now if the gift season's done.
Like goals?
Yeah, just goal snipes.
Pasternak, Pasternak, Ovechkin, Matthews. 1 to 3.
Done. Very,
is that what it is?
Yep.
What is it? 48, 47,
48, 47. Tight race, actually, eh? Like, that would have been a sick finish, man. For sure.
Is there anyone else that can get 50?
Yeah, who else was right here? We got 43 for Draisaitl, 41 for Zibanejad. How about that guy?
That is crazy.
I know, 41 snipes.
Think about that. So there would have been
Kyle Connor, 38 for Winnipeg.
There probably would have been realistically 3 50-goal scorers.
Yeah.
Like unless one of them got hurt or went in a big slump, like all 3 of those guys were probably getting 50.
Well, they had at least 10 games left, so I mean, they're gonna get one empty netter.
Yeah. Well, Ovechkin's getting at least one.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Last one here. Let's go. Hang on here. We won't go 10Ds because we don't really work with the 10Ds.
No.
Let's go face-off percentage. All right.
Oh, man.
I got 2 more for you. And then the last one will be mostly D, but the first one, face-off percentage. Who are some of the best face-off percentage players in the league? So I'll give you some teams, okay? I'll give you Philly and Vancouver.
Okay. Philly would be Couture.
Yeah. Top at 59.62. Would you think about like being a really
top in the league?
Yeah, at 59, which is really good, but that's not like crazy, right? If you brought a test home,
not crazy.
If you brought a test home, those 59%, your parents would be pissed. And
he's top in the league at 59.
Yeah.
Holy, that is.
I
agree. Like
the other 2 are both from Vancouver, and it's not the guy you think it might be.
So it's not Bo.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
Geez, that's awful. I can't tell you the other guys.
JT Miller, the wingers. JT Miller and Beagle. Jay Beagle. And then
are they both over 50?
Yeah, 59 and 59. Like they're all really close.
Oh, okay.
And then Giroux's at 59.03, and then Seguin. Wow, he's at 58.
Seguin, really?
Bergeron 57. Horvat's at the 7 hole at 57. Not bad. Not bad. It's pretty solid actually.
Still,
top 10.
There's probably a ton of guys like 53% to 50.
Well, even the 57s, you got like Taves is up there, and then Kadri, who's obviously been hurt a little bit. Riley is at 56.55. Clendening.
I would have guessed Riley. He would have, if you just would have said guess.
Yeah.
He would have been one of my, just guessed 3 guys. I would have guessed Taves and Bergeron are just easy guesses because they're there every year.
Yeah.
But Riley would have been maybe a little less known. He would have been my 3rd guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Crosby,
number 13, like just a consistent player, that guy, eh?
Yeah.
Tell me you wouldn't take him on your team.
He's the one guy that does it like the exact way you don't teach it. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you watch Bergeron and you're like, just do what he does.
Yeah.
If you want to videotape a player taking face-off, just do what he does. Crosby, totally. That's like looking at the way Ovechkin shoots or skates
Yeah.
and say, don't do it. Like he's the best.
Yeah.
Don't do what he does. Or the way Kane
Totally.
stick handles. Don't do what he does. You know, Crosby, don't take face off the way he does. He can just do it. He gets like he's upright like this. His hands are like at the top of the stick. He's just better than you. So he beats you. But yeah.
It's like playing basketball against your dad when you're 7.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have a chance no matter what you do.
No, totally.
Okay, what was the last one?
Last one I was going to say, who averages the most time on ice? Who plays the most in the league? Average time on ice. So average.
Why am I? Oh my goodness! Why am I forgetting or not getting his name right now? From Tampa.
Oh, no, it's not him, but
Hedman.
Yeah, no.
Hedman.
No, not Hedman.
No,
nope.
He's not even up there.
No, he's not even in the top 15. He's actually number 15.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought that.
So, yeah, trying to guess.
Top minutes played per game. Doughty's got to get a ton.
Yeah, Doughty's number 2 with 25.49. So 25 minutes and 49 seconds average a game, which is a lot of minutes.
Okay, tell me, is it like a veteran player or is it a little bit of a younger guy? Number 1.
Okay, one's a young guy, one's a veteran player from your team that you used to be a super fan for.
Keith?
No, you used to be you're still a super fan for Chicago. Remember the one where remember the team that used to go to the games all the time and lick the glass?
Oh, yeah, Yossi.
yeah.
My brother.
Your boy, yeah. So he's at 3 at 25 minutes and 46 seconds. And then number 1's a young guy.
From Ottawa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Yeah.
Hey.
How about that, though? He's second, third year in the league right now, and he's averaging 26 minutes a game.
Just signed a big ticket. But on a team like that, you know, who really wasn't as bad as they were expecting, but why not just give him a ton of ice?
Totally.
Like, get him 3 years of experience in the next 2, just by minutes played.
Yeah. I won't keep you much longer, but I really appreciate this. It's kind of our trial run here of what it's going to be like on the podcast, which so far it actually hasn't been too bad. It's actually kind of nice.
You're right. I really got to get going. I got a lot, so we better wrap this up.
One thing I wanted to comment on or talk about quickly is how about the young guys or older guys that this is similar to the lockout where guys missed the year and then didn't have a contract coming back, right? Now you got guys that potentially maybe would have had a really good playoff and maybe would have made more money, or players that are, you know, looking for a contract this year, maybe are an unrestricted free agent. And, you know, because I think a lot of players, not that they're going to get forgotten, that's the wrong word, but now you got a whole other draft that might get pushed. Who knows what happens? Maybe you have double draft next year. I don't know what'll happen with this whole thing, but there's got to be some players right now that are sitting there thinking, oh man, like I'm an unrestricted free agent, not getting paid anymore because everyone stopped getting paid, I think, as of last week or whatever it was, like before the playoffs. So not getting paid anymore. Now what do you do? Right? Like now you're sitting there thinking, holy man, I got to get a job. I didn't get a chance. I'm really good in the playoffs. I'm a third, fourth line guy who's makes my money in the playoffs. And now, you know, I think this unfortunately is gonna really hurt some players as far as maybe signing better deals, like getting more money for maybe, you know, they're hoping to cash in this year. And, you know, some players that maybe get bounced out of the league because similar to the lockout, you kind of, there's new crop of kids coming in, new crop of players, there's different opportunity and it's, you know, kind of off the radar a little bit.
Yeah. Like, are you basically just saying like how this is going to affect everyone, right?
I think so. Yeah. And I think it's more, it's going to affect like the guys that are on 4-year deals making 8 million, they're fine. Obviously they don't care. Like, not, they don't care. They do care, but they're fine. Right. But that kid that young guy who's 25 years old, he's on last year of a $700,000 deal, you know? And
these are no answers here. I'm just saying like, you know, we just keep saying the same thing. Holy, this is crazy. But like, this affects everyone. Think about high-end guys. Okay. Like, you know, Giroux and those guys, they have a season. He has a season where he doesn't get 100 points now, or, you know, or doesn't get as many points he normally. Big deal. He's going to be the top 10 player in the league, you know, again, no matter what. But like, think about a guy a little closer to home, like Konechny. You know, holds out a little bit at the beginning of the year, gets there just in time for last exhibition game and regular season. He's there for game 1 and has an awesome year, leading his team. Just I think he had 24 goals the last 2 years. And then this year, I think he's maybe at like 24, 26, something like that. So he was going to pass that. He was going to have career numbers, maybe get lucky and have 30. I think he actually maybe even has like 25, 26 now. Maybe get 30. That's knock on wood. But what happens if he gets hurt next year and he has, not that it's going to kill him. He just signed a multi-year deal, but it just looks good when you look up your name and you got a 30 goal year there. Or, Matthews, we said it earlier, like coming so close to 50. These young guys, even look at college. Like, I don't know how what's going to happen, but what happens, they're canceling spring sports right now. Yeah. So in NCAA, and that doesn't affect hockey because hockey's over, but to some of these college players, depending on what happens with the draft, the junior players, and maybe some of these junior players don't get a chance to show themselves in the playoffs and the Memorial Cup, and they get drafted in different spots, or they don't prove themselves that they can make the jump, so they have to stay back at junior. Like, how does this affect? So now there's more players playing in junior. You know what I mean? There's, I don't know, maybe college players don't get drafted because they don't get the same chance. Maybe they flip over to junior next year because they can't get into pro now. I don't know. Like, I'm stumbling here, but like, I can't even fathom how crazy, all the question marks that are going to happen for all the young players trying to jump up and move up.
Well, it's even the year of the lockout. Like, I remember, so for me, I was going back for my year of pro. I wasn't sure if I was going to go play again or not, but I was trying to get to Europe. So I had some pretty good looks some pretty good bites in Europe. I wanted to play in a decent league over in Europe, and all of a sudden the lockout was announced, and then all the NHL guys flooded over to Europe. Well, I got bumped out of Europe. I didn't want to go to like a third division league. I wanted to play in a good league, and man, all these good players were going over there. So, it's a trickle down effect. For me, I was in a situation where I could have played, I was kind of ready to move on, which is fine. But man, that trickle down effect, to your point, is going to move a lot of pieces around. And unfortunately, it's going to affect a lot of those younger players that, like you said, maybe somebody goes to the Memorial Cup and lights it up, and they got an unbelievable tournament. All of a sudden their stock goes up, or they have an unbelievable playoff and Memorial Cup and their stock goes up, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff that's going to go on right now. That's going to really, I don't want to say hurt players a ton. If you're on the draft list, you're probably going to get drafted anyway, but at the same time, man, your stock could have went up a little bit. The other thing I think about is, what about some of these young kids that are sitting on 19 goals right now and 20 was their bonus, right?
For sure.
Or getting in their 72 games was a bonus for them. Or, that could be the difference of, I think we all heard about Kachuk going to the All-Star game, getting a $215,000 or $210,000 bonus for making the All-Star game as a rookie. I mean, that's a pretty big, substantial amount of money, especially for a young kid who maybe only plays in the league for 3 years and he has who knows, right? So there's a lot of that kind of stuff too that I don't think people thought about, that, man, this impacts a lot more than what we just see of the games and stuff. If you look kind of in behind the games, there's some pretty cool stuff that you can look at and be like, man, this sucks. And
I agree.
Levels,
You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases. But even like, I feel for some of the junior guys that are like, 95 points, they get 2 or 3 points a game. They're sitting on 95. They're getting their, just to be able to say, maybe it doesn't affect them long term, but yeah, I had a 100-point season my last year junior.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. That's awesome when someone looks like, I know it doesn't actually mean money or anything like that probably, but it's just kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
To say who knows, maybe you're 5 points from becoming the all-time point leader for whoever, for Owen Sound, whoever it is. And you don't get that. Those are kind of cool little feathers to have in your cap one day. And people are missing out on some of those types of things. And that I feel for all these kids playing because it does suck. It's a crappy way for pros to end their season and not get a chance at especially these guys at the end of their career. Maybe they're on a contender and they're 36, 37, 38. But it's a crappy time for these young guys too.
Totally. To
finish junior and to go out like that. For some of these young first year junior guys to get some playoff experience.
Yeah.
So that next year they've got a round or two under their belt and they got, right now they're on a fourth line and next year they're on a second or third line.
Yeah.
Playing minutes, playing a shutdown role. Like they're missing out on all this experience that is going to help them. They're not as effective in the playoffs next year when they're actually being scouted by NHL teams because they didn't get a chance to play 10 playoff games this year.
Yeah. No,
make some mistakes and learn. Like, though, it doesn't equate to hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe directly, but it certainly means something.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's why, like, when you look at, again, you kind of peel back the layers of that onion and you see, I know there's bigger things to be concerned about. We're talking about hockey right now and the lives that it affects just within the hockey community. But it's kind of crazy when you kind of look at it and how many different tangents and angles it does affect, and it does, mess up. And this is not putting any discount on the workers and the people that work in those arenas and all that kind of stuff, and the support staff of the teams, and let's not forget about the people that have got the illness and are affected directly by coronavirus. It's crazy, right? But that's why this kind of stuff is nice, because you get to kind of maybe talk about the stuff that we love to talk about and kind of dissect a little bit more of what's going on kind of behind the scenes on hockey and kind of what some of these players are going through as well, right? And not to say that they're struggling. Most of them are going to be doing fine and they'll be able to get through this no problem. But there's still there's still stuff that's probably weighing on their minds a little bit for sure.
And I agree with you. Like, we're not discounting how that there's real important things going on. not the fact that some guys are only going to get stuck at 28 goals and not going to 38 goals. We're not saying this is the end of the world. But I don't know about you, but like, seems like everything I'm reading and looking at these days is heavy. Like, you know what I mean? I was out raking the lawn on my own yesterday just to stay away from everyone, and I almost felt at one point I was like, hey, I gotta put on, I got earbuds in, I'm listening to stuff, like I gotta put on something light. So you put on whatever to listen, because I was listening to a podcast, Joe Rogan with had a corona a disease specialist on. I was like, that was awesome, I enjoyed it, but man, that was heavy. I need to hear something light. So it's just something a little lighter than probably most of the stuff you're seeing on your feeds, and
for sure,
all the posts and feeds. Like, it's heavy stuff. So this stuff isn't the end all and be all. It's just something light for people, I guess.
No, definitely, man, for sure. Hey, listen, I was thinking about something we were talking to. I'd like to try to get Ools on, because Patrick Ouellette was the one of the assistant coaches for the Western Mustangs team out of London, Ontario, who went down to nationals. Was a number 8 seed, ended up upsetting throughout the playoffs, ended up making it to nationals. They had a 1-game basically play-in to see if they could even try for a medal, and they ended up winning their play-in game to go to basically the medal rounds, the quarters and the semis. And right after that game, they find out that they're done and it's time to fly home. And obviously for obvious reasons, but just how that tears young players apart, and players that are finishing up their last year of school, and for a coaching staff that maybe didn't have the best regular season, but kind of brought it together at the right time with the boys and pushed a good run through the playoffs, and some hard fought series. Like, went to their best of 3s in CIS, which is crazy, or in U Sport I should say, which is nuts. So coming from behind in a couple of those series to win, and pretty cool story. So maybe when I do have him on, I'll get you on as well. And obviously he's a buddy of ours, so we can rip on him a little bit. But it'd be cool to hear his side of the story and kind of see what he has to say about it.
Really was a crazy story. And we won't spoil it, but there was even, like, you kind of briefed over a couple of things, like the how underdog they were. But that it was even more than that. Them barely getting into the playoffs and then beating the top, first time ever. But won't get into it. But that would be really cool.
That'd be cool,
entertaining story, and kind of sad too at the same time for how it ended. But that'd be good. That's good. Yeah. I'm in for it.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you very much, man. This was great, and we'll see how this whole thing goes for our first COVID. We'll call him COVID, our first COVID podcast here. So thank you very much, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right, man.
Call me back when you're boarded tomorrow.
All right. Call you every day. Okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah. Bye.
To kind of raise that bar.
That extra gear, that first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.